What's up, everybody? Chris Harris here from Sample Spotlight, and today we will be checking out Spitfire Audio's London Contemporary Orchestra Strings. The London Contemporary Orchestral Strings contains 20 gigabytes of content. There's over 42,000 samples recorded. This contains 4 instrument sections: the violins, violas, cellos, and basses. And this is one of their first string libraries that does not feature first and second violins. Instead, it's just one violin section, and the basses are actually included in an orchestrated cellos and basses and octaves. But you do get the cellos as a separate section. These instruments are 4 violins, 4 violas, 3 cellos, and 2 basses. It features 4 microphone positions, which 2 are the standard kind of close-in room mics, and then they have 2 mixed options. And then they've also provided 2 effects channels that can kind of further change the sound, and I'll cover some more detail into that later. It's for the free contact player, and it retails for $349 US. All right, so let's just dive in here. So this is the violins, longs, techniques. Now, what I've done is I've loaded up the extended technique patches, which are split into shorts and longs. And basically what this will cover, let me just double check to make sure. Yes, okay. I want to make sure I had all the patches. I wanted to have the most simplified thing that I can show you all the sounds without having to switch too many patches or load too many apps. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and just start with the Mix 1 mic here because that is actually what the default is, to kind of give you the out-of-the-box sound. And you'll notice real quick here in the sound, and let's start with low dynamics. Just play a standard chord here. What you'll notice is this is a lot drier than their normal string libraries that they've done. They've teamed up with the London Contemporary Orchestra, and they've recorded this string section in a drier environment to kind of basically capture a little bit more of the, contemporary sound that we've been hearing in more prominent scores, and that have kind of been going against the cliches that we've heard in film music as of late. So I'm kind of excited about this library just because there's a level of grit in this that hasn't really been in kind of new modern string libraries that have come out in the last couple of years. So this is definitely a treat for me in the kind of music that I write. Now, if you're familiar with some of their last Albion 5 library, some people have been trying to compare this to that, and the biggest difference for me is it's in a drier environment and is with a smaller, more intimate string section, closely resembling the Sable string size, and they've recorded multiple dynamics versus just the super soft dynamics. So definitely a very big difference in sound. For me, this is closer to their original Scary Strings or Evo Grid in some of the samples, such as the granular kind of tremolo patches that I'll show you later, some of the wavy vibrato. But the thing is that these are actually playable. And they're not like this like morphine kind of texture. They are like instantaneously, this is the sound that you want. So it's kind of it's a diversion away from the Evo Grid, but it has a lot more articulations versus just long kind of synthy type stuff. So sorry, let's get back to the sounds. I just wanted to get some clarification out. So that was the Vivid Longs patch, and let's just kind of play full tilt here. You can hear what's happening kind of on the high end to the low end. Here's down low. So kind of a lot closer sound. So that was Mix 1. Let's take a listen to Mix 2. Now this is a slightly more of a room. There's a lot more body to it. And how this was recorded is slightly, there's a little bit more bite on the attack as well, and release. So if you start to try to mix the two here, since mix 1 is slightly softer, I kind of start down with mix 2. And just kind of find a balance there that works. So with, without, you can hear quickly that there's some room. So let's take a listen to the close mics here. Now, of course, you can use the mix mics with the close and room as you'd like, which is actually kind of different from the previous libraries, where if you change from mix to mix, it would actually cut them out. So here's the close and room mic. Let's take a listen to the close. So pretty quiet. And then let's take a listen to the room. Kind of a nice kind of body to it. Let's bring it a little close. And I'm going to turn the release up a bit here. And then they've also included reverb, which actually there is some reverb being used in this. All the way down, you get the natural, dry environment. And then here's more reverb. Which I have to be honest, the reverb choice that they've used for this library is not my favorite. It kind of has this metallic-y, I don't know what's the term it's to best describe it, but there's just this color to it that just doesn't really work for me with drier samples. And it's more prominent when I show you the shorts here in a second. So let's run through, real quick, the effects using the close and room mix that I have. The effects one kind of has a reverb glow to it. And then effects 2, which you can hear right there in the center field. It's kind of this grunge sound. So let's just listen to effects 1 by itself. Which we can probably widen out just a bit. And then let's listen to effects 2 by itself. Which kind of has a cool effect. Really, it almost kind of reminds me of slight radio-esque in how it kind of sounds with that mono kind of effect going on. So pretty neat. All right, so let's just go back to mix 1, actually. It's kind of a nice solid mix, and I'll do a little bit of 2. And we'll just go through the patches here. So here's Sol Ponticello. Let's hear some of the high end. I just love how the harmonics move in the soft dynamics here. It almost sounds like you have kind of like a sequence playing over that. Now the crossfading between dynamic layers isn't like the smoothest. You can definitely get like a very big tonal shift, or not tonal, but timbral shift right here. So I feel like it might be able to be smoothed out just a little bit more. Here's the Sol Tasto. Now I do like this sound a lot. It's very kind of dreamy sound. Let's pull back the reverb a little bit. And then we have harmonics. Again, this is such a cool sound. And being in a drier environment, you get a lot more grit kind of involved. More artifacts, if you will. A lot more of the rosin, on the bow and the strings. Pretty cool. Here's the Super Ponticello. It's almost inaudible in terms of pitch and like tonality. It really just is. It's not tonal at all. You're more or less just getting an effect there. Here's Spectral Scrubs. Again, very much an effect, but it's playable. And these aren't just, one sample stretched up to be, playable. It's all individually articulated notes, so you can play close together and not get like a weird phasiness that you actually tend to do when you with patches like this that are stretched. So that's pretty nice. And then here's this granular to normal. Basically, that's what it is, and here's what it sounds like. So all the strings are kind of playing in this inaudible, kind of granular. My guess is very close to the bridge and really hard on it. That's what it sounds like to me. It's just the bow's just really grinding into the kind of the towards the bridge, and then they kind of pull back quickly into the normal playing position on a pitch. So you can do kind of weird, creepy shit like this. Pardon my language. Now, I wish this patch had just it going to normal and just staying there versus going right back into the granular. So it'd be kind of cool if they would add like the loop point that they have going back to the granular sound would be going back to the actual normal sound. So you can just have that like granular effect right at the beginning and then just go to these pad, this long pad. I don't know if the sample's long enough to do that effectively, but it would be kind of cool. So anyways, slow, wide vibrato. And moving along, woozy vibrato. And here we have wide vibrato quick. Which this is the type of patches that you would use to just kind of cut through a line here, when you have like something happen kind of in the mid and bass section, you just, something rhythmically or whatever, and you just want to have these high sustains that cut through. There's nothing that cuts more than just crazy vibrato. And then you have open granular to normal. The same, but with tremolo. Which goes a lot faster than the other ones. And then you have irregular tremolo. Which I kind of like that because it's not just all the strings trying to play quickly. It's just kind of random, fast, slow. Doesn't really, everyone's kind of doing something different, which definitely kind of cuts up monotony with samples really well. And we have open to normal. Then we have twitchy. Pretty cool. And these are pretty cool. They have these kind of slackened, soft crescendo, which I really don't even know what this is. This is another thing that I had made a comment on the one of the forums that there was a commercial thread for this library, that it would be nice if they would release in their online manual, which is actually very, very well done. Be nice if they would incorporate some notational examples of these articulations. I've been working with more musicians lately, and one of the toughest things to do in contemporary terms is writing articulations that make sense to musicians. Now, I know that they've worked with Ben Foscat over the last few years on most of their libraries in terms of orchestrating. So I don't know if a lot of these things are just kept secret. If like the London Contemporary Orchestra doesn't want people to know what these actually are. But it would be great for orchestrators if you're going to take mock-ups from this library to use with a real orchestra. It'd be kind of nice to know exactly what and how it's been written and what it's the instructions are. That's just my personal preference. It'd be cool if they added that in the manual. That's my point. Here's Sol Ponticello tremolos. And then we have granular tremolo. Okay, let's move on now because I've spent 17 minutes just on the violins. So I'm going to start moving quickly. Let's check out the violins here. So we're just back to mix 1, and I'll just run through these. So here we have vivid spiccato. Kind of give you an idea of the range. Again, very dry sound. Here's the reverb added. See, it kind of has this metallic-y sound. Wish something slightly warmer was used kind of in the in-house or in-patch sound. I'll definitely be using my own reverb chain for these samples. But here's staccato dig. I love I don't know, there's an odd quality to it that's not technically 100% in tune, but you get the different voices of the instruments, which is great. All right, then we have pizzicato. Not all playing like immediately together. It's like a percussive pizzicato. So there's kind of this, I don't know, they're doing something else there on the attack that's a little bit more of a percussive element. And then we have short harmonics. I wish these were shorter, but they do have time machine patches. And let me just double check to make sure. I haven't used the time machine patches in this library. So yes, so they do have those. Let's well, you can't stretch it too short. That's kind of too bad. It'd be nice to get these a little bit more short to just kind of create your own kind of staccato sound out of the harmonic. More of a sound design aspect that's not really practical in real application of it, but that would have been kind of nice. All right, let's take that down. All right, and here's that slack effect. Again, one of the things about the slack articulations is that they're split between the keyboard. You have kind of this short version and a shorter version. So, or there's a crescendo, and then just the short hit. So you can do stuff like this. Anyways, pretty neat kind of playable patch there. And then we have bridge scrapes. Which actually might lend itself to do something wacky here with the ostinatum. Let's do something like that, and we're just going to kind of forgive me. I have no idea what this is going to sound like, but we're going to do it, okay? And we'll put some accents in here. There we go. All right, we're going to do order pressed. And yeah, let's just hear what this sounds like. So how many do I got? I get up to 4, it looks like. So you can kind of make your own like weird pulsing textures. That would be interesting for anyone. That was kind of stupid, but you get the idea of what you can do with these patches. So that was the violins shorts. Let's move on to viola longs. And we'll just keep using mix 1 for now. All right, here's a vivid long. Sol Ponticello. And then we have Sol Tasto. Now that's super quiet. I don't think the violins are that quiet. I feel like I have to whisper playing this. That's a pretty cool sound. And then we have, well, there are less instruments playing, so that makes sense that they'd be louder. Here's the harmonics. I just love that sound. Super Ponticello. Weird sound, but seems very effective. And then we have spectral scrubs. Now that's cool. Turn your volume up. I won't talk so to blow out your speakers, but turn your volume up, listen to this, and just what's happening kind of left to right. And then I'll stop playing, let you turn it down for a second so I don't blow your ears out with my voice. Okay, so let's move on to granular to normal. Pretty cool stuff there. Slow, wide vibrato. We have woozy vibrato. Then wide vibrato. I think these slow, wide vibratos are actually shifted up a half step by accident. Yeah, these need to come down a half step. And then we have, I mean, that's bugs like that always happen. See, again, I'd love to see those sustain longer. All right, granular tremolos. Then irregular tremolo. Now these have a limited range, which I don't know exactly what the reason is for that, other than maybe they, I don't know, wanted everything all on one string, which doesn't make sense because this is actually extended down, like they detuned the strings maybe. Normal, twitchy. I like stuff like that. And then again, slacking. Cool little phrases there. Tremolo sol ponticello. And then we have just granular tremolos. And not really audible in terms of pitch. All right, let's take a listen to the viola shorts. Here we have the vivid spiccatos. Nope, that's all of them. Now, how I'd use these, I'm hearing a lot of kind of this timbral quality that I want on kind of the attack, and layer these with maybe their chamber strings to get that lush kind of sound of their Air Studios. So, this is definitely a layering tool for sure, just because of the dry aspect of it. But also, there is an inherent room. There's a space that these were recorded in. This isn't like super dry that you've heard in other libraries that are famous for being dry, where it almost kind of takes the, dare I say, the life out of the instrument a bit. But there's still room there. There's still some space, even with the reverb completely off. There's still some space in there. And I think that's important for this library, at least. Here's the percussive pizzicato. And then we have the harmonic shorts. And then here we have the slackened shorts, kind of crescendoed, and then just the hit. And then we have the bridge scrapes. Which is kind of a cool sound. All right, and now let's move on to the cello section. And let's move to mix 2 here. And we'll take a listen. Now, as you notice, this is where the articulations start to drop, which is kind of a shame. I would have loved for them to kind of stick to the consistency across each section, but the celli and the basses, or the celli and then the celli and basses kind of get stripped out of content. Don't necessarily know why. Probably costs and everything, but. Mix 2 kind of has a distortion element. Let's just stay with mix 1 there. Here's the vivid longs. And then we have harmonics. Great for layering with your violins. If you'll notice, the range extends up through the majority of the violin range. So that's just definitely a great technique right there, for me at least, in terms of getting just a nice warmth to your violin lines. Layering cello harmonics in there. Now, you don't necessarily do that in a live setting, but it works really well in mock-ups, I found. Here we have long sol ponticello. Great for drones. And yeah, I could do that for hours. Though I don't think you would want to hear that. You can turn your volume up here if you can't hear it. I mean, that's such a cool sound. Okay, here we have granular to normal. Slow, wide vibrato. Woozy vibrato. We have open granular to normal. Granular tremolos. Irregular tremolo. Again, limited range, but they've detuned it. So it's something when they say irregular, I mean, there's not much information on this patch, and I didn't see any in the manual. And I have to admit, I didn't go through the entire walkthrough that Paul Thompson does. But it seems like all these irregular tremolos, they've detuned a few steps below the actual range. So I don't know if they've actually detuned the real instruments down there, or if this is just they've stretched the samples down. So you have a little bit more of a range since it is limited to roughly an octave, almost just less than 2 octaves in range. So I'm just curious about that. Same for this patch as well. The open normal. Then twitchy. And then the slackened longs. It's kind of like a breathing effect. That could just be an ambient kind of room sound for someplace. If you hear some clicking things in the background, my dog Rupert is asleep and decided that he would go for a run in his sleep, so he's kicking the heat vent that's along the baseboard. Yeah, dogs. You might hear him snoring every now and then too. It's been a while because he's usually been out in the other room when I've been doing these. Here we have vivid spiccatos from Chellies. And it's hard to, I like to play chords for these so you can just kind of hear the full range. It's not necessarily how I write with these. I tend to write a little bit more idiomatically. And then we have the short slackened. And then we have the bridge scrapes. You know, where's the harmonics and the dig staccato? Oh, that would have been such a cool sound for this room to have the cello dig staccato. Yeah, well. All right, moving on. Here is the last section of basses and cellos. So we have the vivid longs, and as you can see, these aren't recorded up, to the C here. It's actually written in the sounding range of the basses. But what you're hearing is the bass is playing this note, and the cello is playing their low C, starting here. So kind of a reverse of what we've heard from their libraries in the past, so it kind of threw me. I know it's a stupid thing, but when you get used to working in one workflow and then they change it, it's kind of confusing. All right, and then we have long harmonics. Now this is a cool sound. Do something like this. Kind of a neat sound. All right, let's pull that back. Here we have the long soprancellos. We have spectral scrubs. Pretty awesome sound. Then we have the granular to normal. Just hear the frickin' bottom end. The slow wide vibrato. Woozy vibrato. Open granular to norm. Open granular to trim. Irregular tremolo. Such a weird sound. Just brutal. Open normal. Then we have twitchy. And then the long slackened. And then we have, lastly, the shorts for the Chilean basses. And here you just get 3 options. You get the spiccatos, pizzicato, and then the short slackened. Pretty interesting sound. Okay, I'd say some final thoughts here. The fact that they've included all their typical patches, such as their economic longs and shorts, and I'll just pull up like the violas here. So they give you kind of everything you need in terms of the longs, and then they have their light resources patch, which just kind of gives you the very basics for writing. And then their time machine patches, which are always incredibly useful. That's contained in their others. And of course, they have the individual articulations in patches for those that like to work with each individual articulation on their own channel. And I think lastly, there's no legato in this library. And again, that's something that I've heard people out there kind of like, why doesn't this have legato? To me, this library doesn't need it. It's not designed to be like this lyrical, thing that vibrato tends to be used for, legato tends to be used for. It really is focusing on kind of a character of the strings that is underrepresented. Oh man, I need to go to bed. These types of sounds are not represented in the industry of samples too prominently. So they focused on a library that's playable, gives you pitches that do things that aren't just, a stagnant plug and play. They want you to actually write music with them in an intuitive way. And I think they really kind of nailed it in terms of that. I would rather have seen some of these articulations explored a little bit more, like the granular to normal patches. It'd be great if they had a few different variations in lengths on them. Some that stayed straight versus going back to the granular sound. Some that took longer. Some that shorter. It would have been nice to kind of see an expansion on that. As well as the inconsistencies of articulations once you get past the violas. Now, I've seen this in other libraries. It's like the everything's put into the violins, and then everything's put into the violas, and then by that point they're like, well, we can just do this with the cellos and basses. I'd like to see the full the cellos and the cellos and basses get the full representation that the violins have, just to keep things fully consistent. Now, I understand that maybe some of those articulations just don't work, but it's the contemporary orchestra. Everything works. It's designed to be used, in any context. So all those sounds to me are important. They can serve a purpose. So, anyways, this was my review of Spitfire's London Contemporary Orchestra strings. You can find out more at spitfireaudio.com. It was currently, I believe today actually is the last day of their kind of intro sale, and don't quote me on when it is over, but I believe the price will go down, or will go up, to $349, which is what I posted at the beginning of this review, but it's actually currently on sale for $279. So if you catch this review before it's ended and you decide to pick it up, I think it's a great bargain. Check it out. Again, Spitfire Audio. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.